maximizing the impact of your online brand. Krista Neher is CEO of Bootcamp Digital. Hi, Krista.
Hi.
Thanks for being with me. I really appreciate it. Krista, how is digital marketing distinct from traditional marketing?
So, man, there's so many ways to answer that question, but I think really, it's so easy to get caught up digital versus traditional, but really the question I would ask is how have buyers' decision-making processes changed and how has your buyer journey changed with digital versus traditional? Because there's so many differences in the mechanics, the data, the speed of digital versus traditional. But at the end of the day, our goal isn't to use digital for the sake of digital. It's to use digital because it's more effective at persuading our target audience. And when we look at our target audience, especially from a B2B space, what we see is that digital is a huge, huge, huge part of the buyer journey. And digital is changing the buyer journey completely, right? Especially when we look at things like self-service, where we have this idea that someone needs to see and touch something, and then we have a whole bunch of meetings and they make a decision. Studies show that by the time someone's in your sales funnel, they're already over 50% through the decision-making process. So where are they getting the data to inform that first 50%? Digital. And so it's really important because it is becoming a bigger and bigger part of influencing decision makers. And that's why it's really vital for this industry.
How good a job do you think a company is doing today at online branding, or how bad a job for that matter? And if it is bad, how are they getting it wrong?
So I think when you look at like the supply chain industry, right, especially in these sort of, I would say, these B2B spaces that have always done something a certain way and are really sales heavy, really what it is that they tend not to be strategic and they tend to not prioritize digital because their belief tends to be that their sales are coming through their sales team or through their relationships. And while that may still be the same final step, maybe I can't write a contract through your website, for example. What's missing is all of the research and collaborative decision making that's happening online. So when you look at this industry, really, I would say it's very strongly lagging in, even just the basics of having a strong professional digital presence. So if I'm considering doing business with you, let's say maybe I saw you at a trade show and you had the most amazing booth and I was like, man, this is awesome. And I go and tell my boss and they're like, send me the link, right? We talk in links, we share in links. I send your
Mhm.
website, looks like it's from 1990. How does that change my impression of your organization? Certainly not positively. It's not making me feel like, wow, this is a modern company with great technology. So I think there's a lot of opportunity just in sort of the foundational hygiene elements, but then also in accelerating digital channels to influence business decision makers to grow sales.
We all know, though, that there are perils and there are traps of social media brand marketing when it goes wrong. What should companies keep in mind to avoid that and protect themselves against that happening?
I think the biggest problem truly is there's two big problems I would give you. One is a lack of strategy. So you hear from somebody, oh, your business needs to be on Facebook. And we're like, oh my gosh, let's be on Facebook. And we have a
Mhm.
Facebook page. We're so excited. Well, having a Facebook page isn't a strategy, right? Even having a website isn't a strategy. It's about the biggest mistake you see is businesses get into activity mode before they've thought through the point and purpose of each thing they're doing. And for any tool to be effective, it needs to have a clear point and purpose. If I'm just on Facebook, I could post stuff all day long that has no impact in driving my business forward. If I have a clear goal on maybe my LinkedIn page, I can post much more strategic content that actually influences decision makers. So the first problem I see is just a lack of foundational strategy and tactics coming ahead of any sort of real strategic thought. The second is the lack of measurement and KPIs. There's a historic saying in marketing, this is pre-digital. It says, I know half of my marketing doesn't work. I just don't know which half.
Right.
You can know
Okay.
now. There's literally data everywhere to tell you how things are going. But most businesses don't have KPIs. They don't link their KPIs to their actual business goals. And then they struggle to see the value in what they're doing. So I think it's just that foundation of strategy and measurement is really the starting point. Then when it comes to your actual execution, simple best practices is really where we see a lot of misses. There's digital tools are not rocket science, but there's a formula and a way to be successful at them. And knowing that formula accelerates your success. So it's really helping them to understand what are those best practices that will accelerate their success in those platforms.
What should companies know about SEO or search engine optimization and the way that it has evolved over the years? Because it clearly is not what it was in the early days of the internet.
Yeah, so SEO is a great opportunity in this industry. There's certain areas that are really oversaturated, right? Like if you were in an e-commerce space selling shoes, you're going to compete against Walmart and Amazon. SEO is going to be real hard for you because you would have to be beating these big established players. One of the good things about being in an industry that's not typically a digital leader is there's still so much white space. So search engine optimization will really help your website to show up at the top when people are searching for products or services like yours, or even for reviews and information about your business. So as you think about it, really what SEO is doing for you is it's giving you a free opportunity to get repeatable traffic and potentially leads to your website every single month. So really what we see here is a lot of white space in this industry, but also I think from a leadership standpoint, it's a difficult sell because people don't necessarily understand it or see the value. But the truth is, and when we do the workshop on digital strategy and SEO, we'll actually look at this data. There's free available data that will show you how many people search for your business, how many people are searching for these types of products. So you can literally see the size of the opportunity you're going after and make the case for the ROI to the leadership in your organization.
It seems like so many people's approach to SEO is simply comes down to if only I could crack some magic algorithm. If only I could figure out how it works on Google, I'd be fine. That's my SEO strategy. I take it that's a little bit limiting and simplistic, right?
Yeah, I mean, SEO is so in the early days of SEO, it was about gaming or tricking search engines,
Right,
right? No,
right.
it's really about providing sustainable value. And that's what search engines are really looking for. They're looking for a website that's fast, functional, and professional that people have a good experience with. And then from there, there's specific things you can do to signal to search engines that your site is important and about the topics people are searching for. But what I think you still see in SEO is somebody somewhere is like, oh, we should have a blog. Let's put together a blog. It helps with SEO, right? And the
Mhm.
truth is, content alone doesn't do anything for you, right? If a tree falls in the forest and no one's there to hear it, did it make a sound? If you just push out content, but it's not sending the right signals to Google, it doesn't have any impact. So it's really understanding how search engines work and having an actual plan versus if you build it, they will come.
When we're talking about online marketing, are we by definition talking about targeting younger audiences of internet savvy people and consumers, or is that a misconception?
Well, first, it depends how you define younger, right? These
Hmm.
days.
Younger than
But
me? I don't know.
I mean, look, here's the thing, right? We're not talking about TikTok videos or getting on Snapchat here. We're talking about the foundational elements of the internet that every single human being uses to make decisions. Now, I did have one client I worked with, which was an ad agency, and the CEO was 90. He didn't own a computer and he had paper all over his desk. So, yeah, someone like that's going to be your exception. But the reality is that everyone, again, I go somewhere, I see a great booth with technology I think we could use. What do I send my boss? What am I taking a picture of the flyer? I'm taking that flyer home and putting it on their desk?
Right.
No, I send a link to the URL of the website. And so the reality is that these blocking and tackling, foundational elements of your digital presence, they're not trendy. They're not targeting young people specifically. They're targeting people who use the internet to make decisions, which is 99% of the people you want to reach.
I know one of the strategies that you advocate is the creation of your so-called digital skills capability plan. Can you explain briefly what that is?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think, when it comes to digital, it's a blessing and a curse that there's no real barrier to entry, right? If you wanted to run TV ads, you would need a big budget. You would need to hire an agency to place the ads. With digital, you could be like, hey, let's try Facebook. It's $1 a day, and I can set up this ad in about 10 minutes. So that low barrier is great because it makes all of these tools much more accessible. You used to have to hire a company and spend so much money to build a website. You can get great websites now for very little investment. The downside of that is that to actually be effective, you need to do things right. There's a way to do these things properly to give you the results. What I see time and time again is businesses get themselves into things. Oh, we need a Facebook page. Let's try LinkedIn ads, whatever it is, without really understanding how the channel works, the process involved in being successful, how to set up metrics, all that kind of stuff. So the idea of a digital skills capability plan is to be able to say to yourself, these are the areas that I need to master to be successful in this space. And really making sure you understand how they work, what they are and are, the best practices, sort of all of that stuff to drive your success in these channels. Because it's not that hard to do this stuff necessarily, but it is hard to do it well. If it was easy, free, and cheap, I would be a millionaire on a beach somewhere, right? We all would be. The truth is, it's
Yeah.
not that easy. So your digital capability plan is really about saying, what are the capabilities and skills we need to succeed here, and actually building a roadmap for them.
Krista Neher is the best-selling author of 6 books, including the Social Media Field Guide. Krista, we're looking forward to your keynote at the Global Supply Chain Marketing Summit, set for June 5th through 7th, 2024 on Amelia Island, Florida, where we're going to hear a lot more about this critical subject. Thanks so much for being with me today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
See you there. Bye.